editor at townhall.com and a Fox News contributor, and Monica Crowley, former Assistant Treasury Secretary for Public Affairs and host of the Monica Crowley podcast. Ladies, great to see you.
Thank you for being here.
So, Katie, compare the kind of twisted logic of the president trying to tag every disaster into climate change with the hands-on action that we saw from Governor DeSantis in actually dealing with it. Thank God it wasn't the worst of hurricanes, and we'll get to that in a moment for all the talk about the worst weather we've ever seen.
Right.
But the fact is that you had nothing but rhetoric from the president and nothing but action from Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, I mean, Ron DeSantis prepared the state for if it was going to be really bad, and also good preparation makes it so the impact of things isn't as severe. So, for example, if the power goes out when the governor has thousands of linemen ready to go to fix those things, it makes the consequences and the aftermath much more bearable. But President Biden is inserting climate change here because it's a political agenda. And, you know, they never let a good crisis go to waste. So anytime they can have a situation, they can implement this agenda, which allows them to milk the taxpayers from even more money, give the government more control, whether it's controlling your gas stove or telling you what kind of car you can drive. They are all about it because, as Larry Kudlow says, they are central planners. And so when it comes to the Maui situation, they're blaming climate change because they want to not take responsibility for bad government behavior.
That's exactly
and it's a cop-out. It's a cop-out.
Monica, that's it. It was. They were using climate change as an excuse for ineptitude. Ineptitude that led to hundreds of people losing their lives.
Yeah, and remember that the state of Hawaii is a one-party state.
Yes.
It's completely run
maybe
by
not
Democrats.
Much longer. I don't know after this.
Maybe this will turn the tide politically in Hawaii, but they've got a Democrat governor, 2 Democrat senators, the state legislature. It is all Democrat. So they're trying to head off the criticism of the handling of this, and it was one massive incompetent mistake after another, to the point where we have well over 100 people known dead and 1,000 people to this day, David, who are still missing, including countless children. So this is an epic disaster, probably the worst wildfire or fire of this type in U.S. history. And yet the press won't cover it because they're all propagandists and they don't want to point the finger
off the headline.
at the Democrats
you can't
in
even
Hawaii
find it inside the
or
pages.
the federal government, which is run by Joe Biden. The executive branch has failed the people of Hawaii.
Can I say one more thing about this climate change agenda? When it comes to the aftermath and also the preparation for a hurricane, the climate change agenda runs right up against preparation, because what do you need? You need gas for generators. You need trucks that are full of diesel fuel so they can fix the power lines. You need food to get to the grocery store so people can buy it. That's taken there by gas. You have a generator that goes on natural gas. You need that to be something.
And not a lot of solar power during a hurricane, by the way. When the clouds are out, you can't get a lot of energy in there. And then you also have the question of President Biden resurrecting this I don't want to say little fire, but it was a kitchen fire. It was put out pretty quickly. This is the 5th or 6th time that he's done so publicly in the light of these horrible human tragedies in which in the case of Hawaii, hundreds of people were killed. You know that his people, the people surrounding him, have told him, Mr. President, maybe you shouldn't bring up that kitchen fire in juxtaposition with people getting killed. But he did it again. Well, I mean, it just brings again to the fore the question of his competence.
Well, that's exactly right. And look, we're all focused on the fact that he is 80 years old. He looks like he is in severe cognitive decline. That is extremely dangerous for the country. But a lot of people describe this situation, like with Fetterman or Feinstein, or now with Mitch McConnell yesterday freezing up, that this is a sad situation. This is not a sad situation. This is an infuriating situation, that the United States of America is in this position where we have our entire top leadership, or at least key players, who are not capable of doing the job. When it comes to Joe Biden, we can focus on that, and those are legitimate issues. But the key issue here is Joe Biden's deep and profound corruption. He is by far the most corrupt president we have ever had. So set the dementia part of this equation off to the side, as serious as it is, and focus on the main issue, which is his corruption and the fact that he needs to...
I think that is what separates him from some of the other people. But we have to say it is bipartisan, as Monica alluded to. She wrote about it. I saw a tweet of yours or an X of yours. And let me just show, for those who haven't seen, the Republican leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, had another one of those sort of gone moments yesterday. Roll tape.
Running for re-election in 2026. That's right.
Did you hear the question, Senator?
Well, apparently, if he did hear it, he couldn't respond to it. And it leads to questions of what we can do about it, if anything. I mean, when people vote, that should be the final statement about things. And if they vote for somebody who's not particularly competent, like John Fetterman, Senator Fetterman, I mean, right in the midst of his worst crisis with a stroke. I mean, what do we do about it?
Well, look, it actually is very anti-democratic to have people who are not in charge and who do not have, their wits about them to be continuing to be in these very powerful positions. Because who's running the show then? Staffers, bureaucrats, people in government who were not elected by the people who put them there. There is a big question about, incumbency and that making it more difficult for people to replace people who may not, be able to do the job. But these people were elected to be in charge, to be leaders. And it's horrible and sad, but unfortunately, this is where they are. And they owe it to the people who vote to be democratically in place and in charge, not giving everything to staffers like we've seen with Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Monica, they're giving me the rap, but can you put a button on it in 15 seconds?
Well, look, I think there are a confluence of major pressures coming down on Joe Biden. Yes, I think more and more of the American people are aware that he is not capable of doing the hardest job in the world, but also now coming down the pike in the fall, an impeachment inquiry. We're having all of these mountains of evidence of his deep corruption and that of his family. I think the pressure is going to build on him from every direction to step down as the Democratic candidate for president. I do not believe he's going to make it.
You agree?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
Okay.
DNC has invested a lot, but Monica's never wrong. So I'm going to say yes.
Katie, Monica, great to see you both in studio.